Well, Europe's border agency says last year there were 90% fewer people arriving at the height of the refugee crisis back in 2015. About 140,000 irregular migrant arrivals were recorded in 2019. The most arrivals, around 83,000 of them, were made through Greek islands. Now, that's followed by arrivals in Spain and Italy. Germany accepted the largest amount of people, more than 116,000. France and Spain come in second and third, respectively, but 720,000 asylum applications were filed last year, far larger number than the arrivals. Marta Fortesi is the director of ODI Europe. She's joining me now by Skype from London. I understand that you're also in charge of the ODI's focus on migration, so we appreciate your time and joining us on Al Jazeera. Let's talk about this deal, first of all. What do you think is driving Europe to do it now? The desire to help the refugees, or a fear that the refugees are going to start crossing in their borders?
This is a long overdue proposal. It comes now after many years of failures, certainly starting with 2015, and is an attempt of the European Union to find what I would say are well-intentioned and, for once, rather pragmatic ways to find agreement among member states on what to do, particularly as an asylum policy. But at the same time, it does not propose much that is new. And I fear it risks disappointing for a number of reasons. You asked me if it does it now, also given what's happening in Moria and on the outskirts of Europe in relation to people crossing the Mediterranean and being stranded in places like Moria, where so many lives have been lost. And on that ground, the proposed pact, which of course member states will now need to discuss and agree through the Parliament and the Council, actually tries to find a solution to what he recognised being policy failures, and namely the Commission proposes stepping in situation of crisis where a country, like in this case Greece, but we've seen Italy in the past, is at a pressure point and in a crisis situation, and basically put forward a pragmatic set of pledges and of requirements of different member states to step forward and do their part, based on what they can do, based on their resources, their own populations, rather than agreeing in principles to share a predetermined sort of proportion of refugees. So it falls short on formalising a commitment from member states for relocations, but it comes forward with a set of proposals on how member states can decide to cooperate and to play their part, and with sanctions for those who don't do so.
The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said the new pact would rebuild trust between member states, but there doesn't seem to be a great deal of trust between member states, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of trust between the refugees and Europe and just about anybody else. Can this actually work when there is such distrust amongst everybody?
I think trust is low amongst, between the European institutions and European citizens, and certainly on matters of migration, trust has been famously low amongst member states. I think this proposal goes some way in trying to find the middle ground between the very different and diverging views that exist amongst member states. So it's somewhat in between the extreme positions that Hungary has on the one hand and Portugal all the way to the other side, trying to find something workable and pragmatic where they can at least have grounds to find some agreements. However, where it does fall short, I believe, is recognising that there is actually a lot more potential for some member states to actually do a lot more if they do not have to all agree, all the 27 of them, recognising that the political landscape is very varied, and that domestically migration in some countries remains high on the agenda, and some countries are not prepared to cooperate. What I think we now need, on the basis also of this proposal, is to go further by allowing and actually encouraging member states such as Portugal, Germany, France, Italy, where Salvini interestingly lost regional elections last weekend, France, Portugal will host the presidency in the next 6 months, to then use this pact as a springboard to come up with a much stronger alliance amongst themselves to actually take more decisive action. We've seen France, for example, only last week proposing to fast-track citizenship for the essential undocumented essential workers that are contributing to the COVID response. We've seen Germany being prepared once again to welcome refugees stranded in Moria. So if member states can now find pragmatic ways to come together where there is the political will to actually step up to the challenge of doing more, particularly recognizing how much European states need new workforce, migrant workforce, including to face up to the big challenges of the COVID pandemic and the recovery from it.
Well, we really appreciate you giving us the benefit of your expertise on this. Marta Foresti, Director of ODI Europe. We appreciate your time. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.